Thank you for the time that you're having to, spend time with us today.
No, thank you guys. I mean, thank you for having me today. It's extremely important for all of us to understand the impact that social media has in all businesses and brands. So, I mean, you guys having me today is just amazing, and it will give all the athletes out there a little bit of an idea of how they should be carrying themselves on and off the pitch, and how important and value that it has on the long term, especially. So, thank you once again.
That's right. No worries, man. No problem. So let's get.
I was going to say it's an important thing as well. I mean, as an agency, you're working with players from different parts of the world, and how do you, Edson Cavani, for example, his recent post on social media has got him in trouble with the FA because it's come across as obviously a racist remark. Whether where he's from, that's okay. It's just naturally how they speak to one another, and it's fine. So it's important, I think, to start to give training to people that, don't have the adequate information of how things are perceived in this country or whatever country they're going to play football. So, it's important to have someone like yourself on board who's able to teach them and give them the correct advice so they can conduct themselves professionally at all times and not to get in trouble when they come to a new country and they're experiencing a new culture as well. So yeah, I think it was Gary Neville said that there should be training for all players that come from abroad on social media and how they should conduct themselves on social media. Do you agree with that?
I 100%. I mean, you just mentioned Cavani as an example. Just to use him as an example, just because of how recent it is. Exactly. And I couldn't agree with you more. Me, especially coming from a South American culture, South American background, and I know that there's no racism involved in what.
Yeah, nothing malicious.
Nothing malicious at all. But like I said, I'm a strong believer that ignorance is not an excuse, or not knowing is not an excuse of how you conduct yourself. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's just a thing of understanding and knowing the culture and what is acceptable and what is not. And social media these days can have such an impact on a positive way, but also a negative way. And it takes a minute, it takes 10 seconds. As long as you've posted this out there, someone can screenshot it and they will have it against you. We've seen how many players in the past have been affected by posts that they had and how it has come to haunt them 5-10 years later. And also you've seen the positive side as well. For example, Robertson, he posted 10 years ago how bad it was to be unemployed. And now you look back to it and it's something funny. It's just something to praise him for the hard work and everything that he's done to be able to get to where he is at the moment, So social media as a tool is extremely, extremely important and useful. It's just how you use it. And that's what we're here to do.
Yeah. Do you think that should have come, just to carry on from that point, do you think that should have come from the club in terms of teaching them how to conduct themselves, or do you think that should have come from the people who obviously look after him? Because let's be honest, he's just more interested in playing. That's all he's focusing on, which was training abroad in his home country with his personal trainer to keep fit so he can come and get an opportunity and get a pro contract. Do you think that once his representatives knew that he was coming over to England, it's down to them to then make sure that he's fully prepared in all aspects and all areas, of the game and outside the game? Or do you feel like that's something the club should have conducted themselves, knowing that he's coming from, a different culture and background?
Me personally, I think that it's bigger than that. I think that it should be within the FA. It should be within FIFA rules to be able to educate people as to what they can do. Because, I mean, we've seen it in the past that this is not the first time that it's happened, We've seen it in the past with the Suarez case.
Exactly, yeah.
Once again,
John Terry, Anton Ferdinand.
He
actually spoke up about it the other day on BBC. He actually done a show on it. And just to draw into racism and what he was going through, it's quite a good watch, to be fair. So
exactly. So I mean, so just to pick on that, so in a way, culture has an impact to it, but it's not the only issue that contributes to it. That's what I'm saying, that I think is more of an education part of the game that the FA should be involved in, because I think that is just more than putting a badge and saying no to racism. Because at the end of the day, the people that are sitting making the decisions, can we actually see what they're doing to be able to make a good impact? Are we implementing those changes from a young age so that people understand from young ages that what is acceptable and what is not acceptable?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, especially when we come from a different culture and different backgrounds and different beliefs, we need to understand that we might not be getting that education at home because our parents are already embedded in that sort of culture from back home, you know? So we don't have it, we don't have it within academies. We don't have it. I don't think that academies, or I don't think clubs will actually implement it as a must have unless being pushed on to be able to, you know? So I think it comes bigger than that. I think the FA should be involved. I think FIFA should be involved, because at the end of the day, it's part of education. It's part of making the next generation not make the same mistakes that we're making right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
I remember when I grew up with, I remember when I grew up, there was a guy called Ashley Paul Robertson, and he was playing first team for Crystal Palace. He broke through at the same time as Sean Scannell and Victor Moses, Nathaniel Klein. I think Zaha was coming through at the time as well. It was like there was one season when I think they had like 6, and John Bostock as well. I think it was like 8, 7 and it was coming through at one time. And I remember he scored on his debut, did really well. And I remember he put a post on Facebook saying that he was going to go on trial to Fulham, something like that, and like how Jimmy Bullard is going to help him with some free kicks. And because of that, literally, like he just, you know, Crystal Palace cancelled his contract. Everything just went down the window. And to be honest, like he just went to rail, like just because that one post that he did just messed up. How important is an athlete to ensure that the image rights is off the pitch and what they're posting is important? Like just by that example.